Hey, PitchGrounders, welcome back to another episode of PitchGround Founders, where we interview amazing founders that are coming on PitchGround. The products are featured on PitchGround. And today I have Ashwin, who is the founder and CEO of Vidboard.ai, which is just has taken off the entire world right now. Everyone is talking about this amazingly crazy video AI custom avatar software where you can basically you don't even need to get in front of the camera, right? So how cool is that? So it's been working out great, and I have Ashwin with me. Ashwin, if you can just quickly in like 10 seconds introduce yourself before we dive into the questions, I think that will be great.
Hey, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Vidboard. I love dogs. I love traveling the world. I'm a great foodie. I like doing yoga and I like building startups. That's in short my introduction. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's get started and let's dive in right
Yeah.
away into this, Ashwin. So my very
Yeah.
first question to you is, uh, could you please start by telling your entire story, right? Who is Ashwin? How did he get started? I don't want to hear more about Vidboard in this story. I want to hear more about who is Ashwin.
Okay. Right. I come from a business family, and my grandfather was a businessman. My dad is a businessman, and I followed their path. Uh, Always, since I was a small kid, I always wanted to start something of my own, but that something it wasn't clicking. And when I reached my law school, I found everybody wanted to be a great lawyer, and here I was. I didn't want to be a lawyer, and this is 2005 July. So I was wondering, what the hell am I doing in this college? And it was a premier institute. I thought, let me try and see where exactly this takes me, this journey. And it took me 5 years to realize that perhaps India is not the place for me to be when it comes to learning the law and practicing it. So I packed up my bags and I went to Canada. I pursued my first master's in law. And that's when I started thinking of creating an online legal education company, my first startup. I came back after finishing that first master's, and along with a dear friend who is my mentor, with whom I've written a few books together, which have been published by the likes of Bloomsbury and Sage. And one of my books has been published in Mandarin as well. So we both decided, along with the third guy, to start an online legal education company. This was 2013. That's the story before Whitboard. So I started out asking this question, like you must have asked this question many times, that what is that eureka moment that I want to be an entrepreneur? And that came actually while I was pursuing my masters, and that's when the internet had already taken a boom. They had already swung, and it was like a hockey stick growth in the early part of the second decade of the millennium. And I thought, why not we just plunge into it? And yeah, here we are.
Awesome. I think that's very interesting because I think the next question is going to be even more interesting. You being a lawyer, what sparked your interest in the field of AI and led you to found
Okay.
Vidboard.ai?
All right. So actually, this is because of my experience, my tryst with the law and with the online education company. See, online legal education is something which was, when we started it, it was, nobody knew it. Nobody understood why online law learning. This concept is pretty well solid in the West, because in the West it is important to keep learning new legal concepts, and that you need to, there are these credit courses that lawyers have to take in order to become better lawyers, and it's a mandatory thing. In India, that's not the case. So when we started, obviously, many people laughed at us and they said, it's not going to happen. What the hell are you guys up to? What can a 24-year-old lawyer do? Well, he doesn't know the law. How is he planning to teach? All those things started happening. So this is 2013 we started, and till 2018 things were okay. I will not call it spectacular, and they were okay. 2018, I decided to collaborate with a leading publisher, Bloomsbury, for Enhelion's courses. I mean, what I thought was, that was my, I would say that was a eureka moment I had when we had Enhelion as a startup. I thought, why not we give a free book with every course to all my students? And to my utter surprise, the minute I added the word ad free book, my enrollments from 2 or 3 a day went up to 50 or 60 a day without me doing anything. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. So we started launching more courses. And by the time we hit 2020, we had about 120 odd courses. And then the pandemic hit. 120 law courses, yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And when the pandemic hit, we were all sitting in our homes and we were trying to figure out how to launch more courses, because it was absolutely difficult to meet people. So that's when it struck that, is there a technology which can create text to video? It just, I mean, I'm not saying that I was the only one who had this idea. There were many people who had it, and I mean, people who were implementing it. So I was just reading about it, and being a kind of a I come from a business family background, we keep discussing these ideas. So that's when the idea came as to how to go about using a technology to create content. And what happened was, pandemic hit in March. By May, we were flooded with requests to launch course after course. So I and my co-founder sat together and we thought that let's launch 300 plus more courses. That was the mandate. And we were like, how do we do it? Because we don't have the manpower to have such kind of a broad arrangement of hiring cameramen, all kinds of things. So what we did, since we didn't have Vidboard or an affordable kind of technology, what we did something like, that's what happens in restaurants. Like there is like they say that majority of the dishes have the same base, right? But all you have to do is put in some stuff on top of it and it becomes a little different. So we did some mix match of the lectures that we already had on our database, and we created new courses out of it. This is the story of our online courses becoming from 120 to 450. But it was difficult to expand even further, because and we started getting complaints with regard to the fact that voice is not proper, the lawyer is not able to teach us properly, he's only reading from the PPT, he's not interactive. These things started quadrupling because the number of students had also increased between March and May. So that's when, by I would say August, September, I had seriously thought of doing something in this, because it was getting very difficult for me to handle it. That's how the idea first entered my head. And yes, that's how Vidboard came into being. And in December, I met Tushar is a my co-founder. He's a AI genius, and I discussed it with him. I said, I want a photograph to talk hundreds of languages, can you do it? So he looked at me for a minute and he said, it can be done. So that's it. That's how it started.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. I'm going to move on to the next question because there's just a lot of things to be covered. I think that's pretty incredible in terms of how your journey went from like finding, being a lawyer to finding an ed tech company, and then that led to building Vidboard. That's pretty crazy. And what happened to your ed tech? Are you still running it on sites at the moment?
It is running. It's on autopilot.
That's yeah.
The beauty of Enhelion is that I don't have to spend time. It's happening. Yeah. So
That's perfect. That's perfect. I'll move on to the
yeah.
next question. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the early stages of developing Vidboard, and how did you
Oh,
overcome them?
I was in Norway around, at the time when we started discussing about Vidboard. Tushar was in Chandigarh. I was in Oslo, and during that time when I was in Oslo, we used to have these interactions on a daily basis, and the biggest problem that we found was talent. I mean, we were discussing it the other day that as founders, we need to have multiples of us. That's how a company becomes bigger and better. But in our case, unfortunately, and of course, fortunately, because then we realize that how good we are and how better we can be. The team that we found in the beginning was not up to the mark, because everybody wants to be an AI scientist because it sounds a little hep and lovely to hear, but then the involvement and the out of the box thinking that AI as research scientists should have was not there, and it got very difficult for us. And eventually, it was Tushar who cracked everything, and we were expecting the young guys to do it, but then they just didn't have it in them, and I don't blame them. The problem is with the education system, so I don't blame the kids as well. But then this was the biggest challenge when it comes to finding the right people, and it took us a while. It took us at least 6 months to find the right set of people to work with. That was the biggest challenge. And of course, you must have seen my change logs. The avatar quality was very bad in the beginning. The eyes were not blinking. The lip syncing was not great. So obviously, those things they keep improving. But the team was the biggest challenge that we had faced.
That's brilliant. How did you meet Tushar?
Tushar is one of my closest friends' brother. So we met, I mean, through her, and she's a faculty member at Christ University. So
We
I
want
met
more
her.
of such. We want more of such siblings in there, and them to
Yeah,
have such.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I keep telling my friend, I said, Kajori, because of you, I met, Tushar. Of course, we've known each other for many years, but it's because of her. So had I not met her, I would not have met Tushar. And whatever Vidboard is today, whatever, I mean, I owe it to him.
That's brilliant. I love that story already. I'm gonna move on to the next question. How would you describe Vidbo to someone in 10 seconds?
Vidboard is a AI presenter-led video creation platform that can create videos in seconds with your photograph.
Awesome, perfect. I'll move on to the next question. What differentiates Vidboard with all of the other tools out there in the market right
All
now?
right. Right. So we are not the first ones in the market, but our approach towards it, our AI approach towards is very different. The first and the biggest factor is our tech stack. It is far more scalable. It is far more affordable. And secondly, how we see our platform is that it is we are only focusing on presentation tools, how content is supposed to be presented. Because of my background in education, I wanted a tool that can solve my problem. But then when I started developing, and I realized that content doesn't mean just edtech content. It means YouTube stories. It means something which you have taught me, webhooks, and all those jargons that I have learned in the past 2.5 3 weeks from you. So these things are like the aha moment I have. And Tushar used to tell me these things, but as a developer, the language that they use, it goes above my head. But you brought that simpler language, and I understood it. So these are the things I feel we are far better, far more scalable than our competitors. But they are doing a good job. We are 8 billion people on this planet. I believe personally that we have a space for ourselves.
So, how has your life changed with Board and after especially launching from Build?
After launching on
So,
PitchGround,
how
okay.
has your life
My
changed after Vidboard first of all going live, right? Like Vidboard went
Oh
live
yeah.
last year. How has your life changed? And then how
All
did
right.
your life drastically change after launching on PitchGround?
Okay, I mean, for both, I've got answers. Launching Vidboard made me more humbler.
I
I
love
mean,
that.
as a startup founder, I realized that Vidboard was talking to me and telling me that, Ashwin, come down to Mother Earth, don't fly. There are
That's
many
very
things there are many things which I want to tell you, but I want to give surprises to tell you that please come down to Mother Earth. There are many things which I don't want to tell you, and it kept happening.
I absolutely agree with you. Like I
Yeah,
keep meeting all the founders every day and I just tell them one thing, stay grounded, because
yeah,
the moment you try to fly too much, um, and if one of your wings get chopped off, right, you're gonna
yeah,
hit so hard on the ground that it's gonna be very difficult to it'll be impossible for you
exactly,
to fly, right?
absolutely,
There's
totally.
a good chance that you might not even survive. And
Yeah,
this is the
exactly.
reason life and entrepreneurship is all about meeting people in this journey, staying grounded, and it's walking. It's not even a sprint. That's what I
Yep,
feel
absolutely.
about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. My dad was telling me he was working at the Ashoka Hotel in Bangalore in the 70s and in the early 80s. So he used to tell me that every year on a particular day, Dhirubhai Ambani used to fly down to Ashoka Hotel, and he used to interact with each and every dealer of those, that Vimal what do you call, cloth that they used to sell. He used to interact, and he used to gift each and every employee of a hotel a shirt piece or a sari piece, just as a token of gratitude. Imagine a billionaire doing this. This is entrepreneurship. And what you see today on TV, all that flashy nonsense that they all do with these flashy cars, with due respect, this is the real India, and we have to accept it, and we have to say that, boss, uh, a startup is like a living culture, a living being. It will keep telling you, and you need to understand. And the audience may think it's all philosophy, but once you become a founder, you will understand that it is much more deeper. And every day in the morning, I get up and I'm like, okay, Vidboard, what do you want me to do? So she's telling me, and I call her she because she is my. I am not married, so I consider her to be my better half. So it's a beautiful thing, and and this is my third startup, so I like to see it that way. So please, so to the audience, don't think that I'm a little weird guy. Although I'm very weird, but this is something that it's very deep. So yeah, and
I
with
think
regard to your, yeah, yeah,
I think somehow or the other way we're all weird. We're all weird as
oh
a
yeah,
human being. It's just that you have to accept your weirdness and move in life with that weirdness. Some people do
true,
accept the weirdness. Some people they keep criticizing themselves. So I think
yeah.
who you are, and you just need to move on with your life with who you really are and accept it.
Exactly. And with regard, I mean, and the second most powerful aha moment that I faced was on the 15th. And you won't believe, I was in Uzbekistan, and every day I was on holiday there. And every day I was to, wonder that, oh my God, I'm right now on holiday. But I have to be on holiday, because if I'm not on a holiday, I'll go crazy. And then when I land, I just have a week and 10 days left. And then I get in touch with you, and you're like, we need to do this, 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 this. You won't believe, from 6th to the 15th, I hardly slept. And the only fear, which I discussed with you when you had come home, was that, and I'll say this in Hindi, I mean, you can translate it, I'm sure. Server बैठ तो नहीं जाएगा. I mean, which means that whether the server will hold or not. And that was scary, because I thought that if 100 people come in at the same time and something happens, how will they feel about me? So that's when
Absolutely.
Tushar and all my other friends, they said, Ashwin, this is normal. This happened. I said, this is normal for you, not for me. I've never launched a tech company in my life, guys. Please understand. It's all alien to me. And that day, 15th night, 16th morning, after that, I have slept 7.5 hours every day. Content. I'm not feeling upset. And it's a content thing. And the day we hit 30 grand on Friday, it was humbling, it was good, and it pushed me to say that, okay, now I have to tell Udit, let's make it 70 next week or next to next week. So these things, this was, I never expected this, I never understood this till we launched on PitchGround. Because running a SaaS entity, like you keep saying, and I do agree with you now. Earlier I didn't understand it, so I was not in a position to agree. SaaS is very difficult. People think that you launch a product, you're done and dusted. Oh, people will come and they'll use your software. But boss, it's not. It's not easy. I know it. I have experienced it, and I mean, and it's not easy. So yeah, this is how I'll say the two
I think I
moments.
officially call you like a SaaS founder now.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you should, and I'm proud to be one. Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Every
So
minute of it.
moving to the next question, right? And I think this is also one of the question that has been like frequently asked by a lot of our users in different groups, WhatsApp groups, and things like that. What's your vision with Vidboard in the next 5 years?
Okay, we want to be in the presentation space. What we want to do is that you spend a minimum time of, say, 15-20 seconds on the platform and create videos at scale of, say, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, without even doing anything. That's our vision.
That's brilliant. I
That's
love
that's
that.
our
I
vision.
absolutely.
I want you to
And
make ensure that you just spend 15 seconds. Obviously, you have to input something, for God's sake, otherwise the computer is not going to understand. So spend minimum time and get the maximum out of it and run away. That's what I want you to guys to see. Yeah.
absolutely. I'm going to move to the next question. And I think this is probably the most difficult question for every entrepreneur to answer. How do you maintain a work life balance?
All right, there's something somebody asked me, and he'd asked me a few weeks back. He said, Ashwin, you are traveled, you're a traveler, you're an author, you're this, you're this. I said, okay, hold on. We have got 24 hours in a day. You're supposed to spend a good amount of time resting, because resting meaning not relaxing. I mean, you're supposed to recharge. So if you ask me, out of 24 hours a day, I make it a point personally to spend a few hours with my mom and dad and my dog without work, and the rest like to spend time working and reading my books. So this work life balance thing, Udit, I have never understood it. I believe that if you love your work, you know it, that uh, after a point you're not supposed to work, because the work will start hating you, not the other way around. Like
Right.
Vidboard will start hating me. I mean, and I always consider Vidboard to be a living thing. I mean, I consider to be a living a wife or a girlfriend. Ki, yaar, lay off, man, buzz off. And this has happened. You won't believe. At night, at times at night, I just get up and I'm like, oh my god, I have to do this avatar. I have to do this. I have to. Then I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm not supposed to, keep thinking about this. I need to sleep. And then Tushar immediately will text me, sleep. You need to sleep. You need to sleep. So it happens. And this, I would also say that. You have to have a very good uh, environment to work with. I have never worked in an office space in my life. I've always worked from home. So that actually helps me in this work life balancing, because then work is part of my home, and my home is part of my work. So that way I'm quite okay.
When we work from home, we actually end up
Yeah.
working for a lot long.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. My mom is like, when will you stop looking at the phone? I'm like, I'm working. You're always working. I said, no, I'm chilling also. So this happens. It's normal. Like you might remember you had discussed this way as well, that even like your mom used to say that don't go to office, don't work from home. But then the comfort level and the way we work from our places. And see, at the end of the day, what is the reason why we all started our startups? It's to make money and to contribute to our customers, and to to make their lives easier. And if that can be done sitting at home in your comfort zone, wearing casuals, why not? Why do you have to go all the way to BKC or to Gurgaon to struggle in that traffic? Doesn't make sense. I don't know. This
I think it just comes down to personal preference, right? In terms
exactly.
of what people want. So, for example, I know few people who would actually prefer to work from an office, because sometimes when we say that we are working for 12, 14 hours, we're not really working. We're just sitting in front of computer. Versus when you are actually sitting and working, you will realize that you are not productive for beyond 4 hours. 4 hours is actually the amount of work that you put in. Anything
Yep.
beyond that, quite difficult to start concentrating beyond that. So
Totally
that's
agree.
just what I feel, right? And when I say work, I do not include like learning, or if you're
uh,
surfing around, or if you're watching video, I don't consider that as working. I consider it as a learning curve, right? That's
right.
typically what I feel in general. Because
I am
so
I'm of that school of thought. So yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So with that, I'll move on to the next question. Now that you have finally become a tech founder, right? What is that one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is probably thinking that I need to build a tech company, especially because you're a non-tech founder? What is that one piece of advice you would give? Where do they look for a CTO? And I'm especially talking about advice for non-tech founders, right? Where do they
All right.
look for a potential co-founder or a CTO? And once they do, how do they really get started?
All right. So the first thing that I asked myself was, see, I said that yes, I have an idea, and I have to be humble enough to understand that that idea cannot be completed without a technical guy. I have to accept that first. And then I have to find a guy who is not like me, who's a little different. And that's where you start, you like, it's like dating, right? Find a guy or a girl who's like not different, something like that. So that's how I'd started. And as luck would have it, uh, there's a luck factor also here, that you need to, and when I found someone like Tushar in this case, he was complementing my strengths, and he was covering my weaknesses as well with his knowledge. And
Absolutely.
you have to understand that as a non-tech founder, you have to be humble enough to understand that, boss, this, without a technical guy giving him what he deserves, again, you can't, somebody told me that, if I'm the founder, I should keep all the equity to myself and I should give everybody ESOPs. I'm like, no, that's not the way. It's ridiculous. It's wrong. He's trusting you. The guy who's going to join you, is supposed to give him that leverage, and you have to say that, yes, dude, you are my equal. You have to decide with me. I'm not going to do it all alone. So once you empower people, he will empower you back. So you won't believe, in our case, every third day he sends me an article to read on tech. Read it, and he tells me, you will read it and you're going to explain it to me as to what this technology is all about. I'm like, what the hell are you asking me to do? No, no, you read it. Then I read it. Then I
Have
discuss,
you
and he's like, you are.
using something like ChatGPT just to summarize and give him that summary of that post?
No, no. I actually. I mean, he knows what. So I don't. That's a good idea, by the way. I've not tried it on him, but yeah. But one thing that, so this is important. As a non-tech founder, many of my friends who are technical guys, they made fun of me, that what the hell are you doing and all. Then I realized that maybe since they are not entrepreneurs, they don't understand an entrepreneur's dream.
That's true.
Entrepreneur's dream is not about making money. An entrepreneur's dream is to ensure that what he's building gets built, and that solves a person's problem. Money is a byproduct. It is philosophical again, but that's a fact. It again,
No,
it's
that
like you have to solve a problem.
absolutely,
Without that, it's
absolutely.
nothing.
That leads to my next question. How would you deal with criticism or negativity around your brand?
Oh, with especially in the past 2.5 3 weeks, yes, there have been people who have said nonsensical, nasty things about Vidboard, and I've read all of them. I do read them, and I that's when the humility comes in, right? That you were all flying that 30,000 and all that, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it all went down. I'm like, okay, no, I need to. This is important, because they're also humans at the end of the day. They were expecting something which I couldn't deliver. So as an entrepreneur, I have to think deeply and then fit it in my brain somewhere, that okay, next time whenever we launch something, we have to showcase this part as well, so that these folks are also happy. But
Right,
I
right,
can't
right.
keep everyone happy. Like in the SaaS world, you can't keep everybody happy, but you have to listen to them. And criticism is very important. And that's where the art of lawyering, comes in. Because in lawyering, we have been taught that when somebody's arguing with you, it's not the fact that he demeans you, it's just the argument. So, those things are, I guess, are inbuilt. So,
But how do you differentiate between negative criticism versus actual negativity?
uh, see, negative criticism is something like,
No, no,
oh,
no.
I didn't like this software. Yeah.
I'll reframe the question, right? So, how do you differentiate between a criticism and negativity?
Are different. I see. I would say that if it is negativity, like somebody is saying that it is utter trash without giving any feedback, I would not look at that argument at all. And when, see, criticism is like, hey Ashwin, the voice looks a little robotic, can you please see to it that it can get fixed? That's a negative feedback, or to be honest. But there is a way of saying it, like, right, that the person has also said it and told that, you can improve on it. And that's the beauty of the LTD community, especially in your PitchGround community. Out of 100, 95% of people are, I've not met them, I don't know any of these people. The way they have embraced me and my product is simply, I'm I'm amazed. Then see, they have also spent money, right? They can easily say this is all nonsense. What are you doing? But they see that, okay, this is the tool, this is where the tool is here, this is what Ashwin has done, this is what Ashwin has promised, this is what Ashwin is promising, we will push him. And every day I get messages on my Facebook and on WhatsApp, hey Ashwin, you're doing a great job. There was no reason for them to say it, because it's, but then the community, that's where the power of community, all this that you told me 2 weeks back, I was just, it didn't hit me. It has hit me now, because I've learned and I've understood that this is important. And that's where criticism is coming in. And of course, there are certain people who want to just talk nonsense. There are people in the group as well. You just ignore them. Can't help it. You just have to ignore. There's
Perfect.
nothing you can do.
I agree with you that I think as you grow, you will attract criticism, but you will also attract negativity because some people could just be jealous that I wish I could have built something like Bitboard. I couldn't, right?
Yeah,
I always wanted to build. So I do think like that I feel like that's basically the difference between someone
it is.
criticizing
It
versus
is.
someone actually being negative about you. I think that's where I kind of like differentiate between both.
I totally agree on that point.
Perfect. So, lastly, here is just the last question before we get into the rapid fire question, right? Which is, I think it's always fun
Oops.
to like get the best of the answers out, right? So before we get into the rapid fire, what's something about yourself or Vidboard that most people do not know about? Like something that we do not know about you as of now.
Oh, there were days where I've cried in the middle of the night because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow when it comes to the tool. Uh, it gives starting up also makes you very lonely and vulnerable, and we all have faced it as entrepreneurs. Small
100%
entrepreneurs, big
agree.
entrepreneurs. Yeah. So this
100%
is
agree.
something that people need to know,
I really
that yes, you
appreciate
are
you
vulnerable.
being I really appreciate you being vulnerable right now because that's not really easy to come out and say, right? Especially
It is. Yeah.
when
It is.
people say like you're a guy, you have to uh just keep your emotions to yourself
Not at all.
and just like just suck up the emotions. You're not allowed to express your emotions, right? That's what the society generally says. So you're coming out, I think that's a very big deal, and I think I would just congratulate you for just coming out and being vulnerable and saying that, man.
Thank
So
you.
with that,
Thank you.
here comes a rapid fire question, right? So the rapid fire is generally where you would have to answer the question in just one word, and you
Gosh.
do not get
Okay.
a lot of time to think, right?
Okay.
Okay, so can we get started? There will be three
Yep.
questions, rapid fire. Let's get going.
Yeah. Why
Okay.
not? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your very first question is, which is your favorite city in the world?
My favorite city, Istanbul.
Perfect. Moving on to the next question. Which is your favorite sports?
Favorite sports is cricket.
Perfect. Your third and last question. When are you getting married, Ashwin?
I won't. I'm married to Vidboard.
You have to give an answer.
Haven't
I,
found the right girl, man. What to do?
your one word is going to be age. So you tell me which age are you going to get married?
I mean, I don't know. Let Vidboard become a big company, then I'll figure it out. I have not found anybody. What to do?
You need to probably try some dating size session. I'll have to set you up
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Please set me up. Yeah, you must be having many friends in Bombay. Yeah, because I like Bombay a lot. So yeah, I'll fly down to Bombay to meet that
We
person.
have like I think I have few friends. All of them are married already.
Shah, this is the problem. No, I mean, I'm at an age where my friends and all have gotten children, and I'm like, what the hell? And they're all calling me uncle. I'm like, this is ridiculous going. This is like nonsense going on. So I'm like, okay, this is high time. But up to now, even my mother's friends, Buddha ho gaya ab tu. You become old now. I'm like, it's okay. Let it be.
Awesome. Awesome. With that, we are going to be wrapping up. Thank you so much, Ashwin, for joining in the PitchGround Founders new episode. I think a lot of you would have learned about who Ashwin really is. And I think that should probably help you truly understand the kind of product, the kind of company that he's bringing in. And if you like it, please go and head towards pitchground.com/product/Vidboard. I think you should definitely give the product a try. It's a brilliant product. Ashwin and Tushar and rest of the team has put in their entire heart, soul, money, everything you can call it, right? They've put in every single sweat, tear, blood. into this particular product. And I think they truly deserve a lot of attention, and especially someone coming out from India and trying to build such technologies without any support and help so far. I think that's been brilliant. And that's something that we truly appreciate for all of these founders coming out at PitchGround. And we try our level best to kind of support them. With that, we will be wrapping up. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and join me in the next episode. Until then, have a great one, everyone. Thank you.